Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I've got my intro even wrong because my brain is addled after that chance right at the end. We are going live right on the whistle post the Chelsea versus Arsenal game that we've just seen in the Premier League this November. And I'm all befuddled. It's me, Suburban Goon and Chris, joined by the usual team. So it's Amanda. How you doing, Amanda?
Okay, you?
Yeah, not too bad. And James Cook, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Getting by, mate. Getting by.
Just before we get into the detail of all of this stuff, this podcast is sponsored by Ruth Beck Art. Please follow her actual page. What we need to do, I think what we're going to need to do, Amanda, is find the her URL.
She's got a new website, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's got a new website. So let's all check out Ruth Beck's website. This is the level of unprofessionalism that you get on the Same Old Arsenal podcast, because I have no idea. I'm assuming it's probably ruthbeckart.com, or it could be .co.uk, but basically stick it into Google, Ruth Beck Art, and then see all of her amazing stuff that she does on behalf of us Arsenal fans. And we can, as Christmas comes around, flood the Christmas time joy with some of the stuff that she does. James, I am a little bit all over the place because we're going live straight after the game, and that chance at the end, I kid you not, I went into my kitchen because I'm having food after this, and I was on my knees like, oh my God, how have we not won that in the last few seconds? Surely we deserve some sort of Reece Nelson style karma, like the reverse, the inverse of what happened to us at Man City. Can you please help me to steer back this ship? And then Amanda, let's get some views. We're going to start at the end for a change, that last chance. James.
I don't know how to steer back the ship, mate. I think the only saving grace I can give you is that if it had gone in, there is that slight possibility that Saliba might have been offside. So let's just believe that that could have been the case, and then maybe we'll feel a little bit better about it. But it's always gut-wrenching when a moment like that happens right at the end of the game. But I do think it was a lot better today compared to what we've seen in the past week. You know, Newcastle was really poor into Milan. I don't think we were horrendous in that game, but again, it's just that lack of chance creation. I still feel like there's a lot to improve, a hell of a lot to improve, but a point at Chelsea in any other season would be a good point. I think Chelsea this season have looked really good. You know, they're going to take points off our rivals, no doubt about that. I mean, they arguably are a rival at the moment. So it's certainly not a bad point, but it's a game that you feel we really had to win, given the gap between us and Liverpool now. I mean, the gap between us and City isn't even that disastrous at the minute, but it's really that Liverpool one that you're looking at and thinking 9 points against a team that are just picking up wins pretty much relentlessly at the minute. It looks like a hell of a lot to claw back, but I'm sure we'll get on to potential title talk later on.
We certainly will. And I want Amanda to get your kind of vibes check. Just if you want to pop any questions in the chat, Amanda, for the last 5-10 minutes that we go through, we'll see if we can get through a few of your questions. So please feel free to put them in. My personal view is that, and do you know what? I wrote this, or I've been thinking about this a while, is that City, this is the sort of game that City win, but City went to Enzo Maresca's side with their first ever game. They're still trying to understand his style, his tactics, and so that's why they were able to pick him off. But this is a better Chelsea side, so I'm frustrated, but the point is kind of take it, move on. Let's get back to the Liverpool chatter though, because I'm a bit more sanguine about it, because for me, I think Paul Merson has said it, if you finish above City, then you probably win the league, and I still think that's probably the case. But Amanda, let's not keep you out of the chat, because let's do a vibes check on that last minute one, that last second chance. Where's your head at?
I think it was Havertz that would have been offside. Wasn't he in front of goal? Trossard took the ball off him, and I think we would have been distraught because he would have scored, and then it would have been offside, and it was the last kick of the game. I mean, don't know where you want to start from really, but I do feel that if we'd have won 2-1, that we might have just deserved it. I thought we were the better side, to be honest, but you know, it's the same thing, and I'm just starred a comment, and this is what I always say: Canterbury Gooner, welcome to the show. If you can't win, don't lose. It is the old adage, and that's what I think. I don't know, really. I don't know how to feel. It's really hard because it's literally just finished, isn't it? And I'm disappointed that we only got a point. I am disappointed. I'm disappointed that the Neto had a free rein at goal. I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming that he had the whole pitch to have a shot. And I think, I don't know. It depends where you want to start from, Chris, because I mean, obviously having Odegaard back was just incredible.
That's a good little segue there, James. And I'll get Amanda's view as well, because I was very nervous. We were talking in our WhatsApp chat beforehand. I was very nervous this morning because I thought to myself, the rumours of Declan Rice with a broken toe, it's probably one of those things that they might not risk it. So if we've got no Declan Rice, if we've got no Odegaard, how are we going to put together a team that is going to challenge a good Chelsea side? But both were named in the starting lineup, and that gave me a little bit of hope, a little bit of belief. I mean, I'm really surprised that Odegaard lasted the whole 90 minutes, to be honest with you, but maybe that's the whole point. Maybe they've been putting him through his paces quite consistently and they've not really been telling us that. What was your kind of thoughts on that starting lineup, and did it give you cause for optimism, James?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we were playing the Champions League final tomorrow, I think you'd probably look at that starting 11 and go, that's damn near close to our perfect team. So I was more than happy with it. I did have reservations about what we would see from the likes of Odegaard because, he's been out for virtually 2 months. Apart from a handful of minutes against Inter Milan, he's not played at all, has he? So I was reserved about what to expect, but I have to say I thought he was really good. Just his pressing was really good. He looks really fit. You wouldn't have thought he was coming off such a long layoff. He just slotted in like a glove. He was perfect. Obviously had the assist for the goal as well. So, I mean, it's so great to have him back in the team. And I think the international break, although I hate it, I think it's coming at the right time because I'm not sure if he'll go away with Norway or not, but it means that we've got a bit of a reset now. We're going to get some players back. You would hope the likes of Calafiori, etc. So, yeah, I mean, having both Rice and Odegaard in the team was significant. But I do still feel like, although I love that midfield three at times, and on paper it looks great, it does still feel a little bit defensive-minded to me. I mean, Rice and Partey, when Rice is bombing up and down the pitch, he looks great, but you can't help but wonder, could we maybe look to have a bit more creativity in there, a bit more forward thinking? And that's kind of what's making me think at some point further down the line, I think we'd probably be seeing it now if Marino had stayed fit, but we might be seeing a Partey or Rice at 6 with Marino and Odegaard. And maybe for games like this, where you do want to be on the front foot a little bit more, that could work wonders. But yeah, just in answer to the question, Chris, great to have Odegaard back.
Amanda?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I love about Odegaard? He never goes backwards. He goes forwards and he creates. I mean, he assisted, didn't he, the first goal to Martinelli? I mean, wow, just a gorgeous goal. You just feel more confident with him. Obviously, being our captain back, I was shocked he played 90 minutes as well. When the ball went up, I thought he'd be going off, but doesn't need to go off, Chris. He's got the international break, which I hope he doesn't go away for. However, he probably would have.
Sorry to interrupt, Amanda. I'm going to let you check in, but there's rumours that he hasn't been called up. But I've got no loyalties towards Norway, but if I'm the Norwegian manager and he's just done 90 minutes, I'd be saying, I'll call him up, thanks. But let's see. So carry on, Amanda. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, internationals I'm absolutely detesting, and the fact that I think it was Peter Drury or Gary Neville said when Saka went down, what about the England squad? I can't tell you. I used the F word. I said F the England squad. I couldn't give a toss about the England squad. Sorry, it's about my team, and we need Saka fit for the absolute coming up matches. Because the thing is, what we need, and I was saying to Carl, we just need, I said, I'd take a 1-0 win, scrappy, boring, crappy win, just to get the momentum back and going again. But we did play well, I thought, in the second half at Inter Milan. I didn't think we was as bad as a lot of people said. I do feel social media sometimes, I think people just be dramatic for dramatic's sake. I don't think they actually watch football. Gary Neville certainly doesn't know what he's talking about when he talks about us. However, it was lovely to have him back, and the difference. I actually thought we played well today. We actually did play well. Listen, we moan about refs continuously, and VAR and all that. apart from the fact he didn't book Colwill, I don't think he had a bad game. Listen, Chelsea players couldn't stay on their feet, diving every 5 seconds. It's quite hard to see that. We saw it in a slow motion replay because I thought Rice had taken out the player and he hadn't. So I'm I always go on about refs and stuff. And for Michael Oliver, I don't think he was that bad. Maybe people will disagree.
No, I agree with you. I don't think. I mean, I think what he did, he probably did 60-40 in favour of the home team. But to be honest with you, I kind of accept that. Like, if that happens at the Emirates, fine. And then if that happens away, you get 40% of the decisions go for you and 60% are within the home team. I'm kind of okay with that as long as there's that consistency. Obviously, we haven't had that at the start of the season, James. And I think, as Amanda was saying, we played all right. I think that first half, it was an interesting one for me. It was quite a cagey one, I thought. It was us trying to work out, well, how good are this Chelsea team? How well has Maresca got them set up? They created a few chances, but not tons. It was a bit like the first five, to my opinion of that first half, and I'd love to get your take on the first half, James, is first sort of 10 minutes or so, they had a lot of the ball, and then they created, I feel like it was probably on like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. There was that really good ball in from Neto, and Gusto headed it over. That was their big chance. There was obviously the Cole Palmer stinging palms of Raya within the first probably few minutes. But apart from that, I didn't really see tons of chances from Chelsea. And we were similar, to be fair. We didn't have tons of chances. It felt like two teams kind of shadow boxing a little bit. What was your gut feel on that first half?
I mean, we kind of picked up where we left off against Inter Milan. A lot of the ball, but not really doing anything of purpose with it. I do feel we looked a bit more threatening. I felt we were playing with a bit more purpose, but it was just that cutting edge. But I also felt like this is not the sort of game where you're going to get chance after chance after chance after chance, because Chelsea are a good side. You know, there's no getting away from that fact. They're a lot better than the side that we've played in the past couple of seasons. You know, the side under Pochettino, the side under Lampard, Graham Potter. So I mean, this is a well-run Chelsea team at the minute. It wasn't going to be a case of we were going to have ample opportunities. We did have a really good chance through Gabriel Martinelli in that first half, which I think he should have done a lot better with. Perfect height for Sanchez. He didn't have to do a lot of work at all to keep that out. But that's the only real clear-cut chance I can think of in that first half. But the best way I could describe it, Chris, is that I just felt really comfortable. You know, I was obviously impatient for us to do something with the ball and create more opportunities, but I never really felt threatened by Chelsea. I think they put up on Sky Sports that at one point Cole Palmer had just 2 touches of the ball in 15 minutes, and those were, you know, touches of the ball that weren't even significant. So, we kept them at arm's length a lot of the time, but I think they were quite happy for us to have the ball because we weren't doing a lot with it.
No, exactly. And Deborah McGeaney, you're absolutely right. It frustrates me a lot that players seem to be able to get away with multiple fouls, and this whole totting up doesn't always seem to happen. That's very, very frustrating. But Amanda, so on the half an hour mark, so we're 1/3 into the game, and Arsenal get a free kick, and it was very, very clever. I think it was Odegaard that saw that pass to Havertz, and he's onside. And we will get to this. We'll get to the actual Arsenal goal in a minute. But I think you can't talk about the Arsenal goal. And you and I talked about this on social media. We had a bit of a back and forward on this on social media, because with that first goal, I jumped up in the air. So it's a great ball from Odegaard. Very quick thinking. Lovely to see Havertz flick it in. He didn't get massive boos, but he got a few boos during the game. And you just thought, yeah, brilliant. And then it's ruled out for offside. And I spoke to the wife about this, and she said, how do you feel? And I went, well, on the one hand, there's times where players will be offside against us, and I want the rules to be applied. So even if it means that sometimes I'm going to get that frustration, I'm torn in this one, because I jumped up, a couple of fist bumps on my sofa, really, really happy, get in there, 1-0 up in the first half. You know, we'd been dominating after the first 10 minutes, and we deserved to be ahead. But then it just completely just takes all of the air out of the balloon. And talk to me about feelings around that. Maybe we should just cover off what we were talking about, both the disallowed goal and then how our reactions were for the actual goal. But we'll come to the actual technical mechanics of the allowed Arsenal goal by Martinelli in a bit.
If that was at the Emirates, I'd have been up celebrating with Havertz. Because I was in my front room watching that, you don't get to see the whole line, do you? You just get to see the goal. So I went, I think he's offside. And Cole went, I'm not sure. And I went, I'm not moving. This is where VAR has ruined football. Didn't even get up celebrating. I didn't even do what you did.
Can I interrupt 2 seconds? So for that Havertz goal that was disallowed, you didn't celebrate that either?
No, I sat there because I thought he was offside. But my brain went negatively straight away. And I don't even know why I thought he was offside, but I thought he was. And then I was like, oh, we saw it straight away. Obviously, there was no arguments. He's offside. He's offside. But if that was at the Emirates, I'd have been up. I wouldn't have sat down for that. I'd have and then gone what you did. For Martinelli's goal, because I couldn't believe we actually scored, again, I just sat there and I said, until I see this again, I'm not celebrating. And this is where football is ruined for me, because I've never, ever, ever been like that. And I mean, you all joke and laugh at me about Anfield 89, but can you imagine not celebrating Mickey Thomas coming through because he could have been offside? You want that natural instinct of celebration back, and we're never going to get it. So some may have celebrated both goals. I don't know, James might have done, but I just sat there and thought, this is where it's ruined. But again, at the Emirates, we get to see a bigger picture straight away. I would have, where I sit quite high up, I would have been able to gauge Martinelli. I don't regularly sit down at the Emirates. But yeah, it's ruined it for me. But then when I did see it and when I saw that nothing's offside, I was celebrating, but it's already gone, Chris. That moment, that second of sheer, we've just scored at the Bridge, and Martinelli, who desperately needed a goal, and it was a great goal and a lovely ball from Odegaard to Martinelli. Odegaard's just come back and he's already assisted. You're up. It was only 65 minutes played, and I kept going, we've got to sit for another at least half an hour. It was too long, unfortunately. But yeah, I didn't celebrate either until it was absolutely 100% confirmed.
James, let's move on to, you can either do the Havertz disallowed goal if you want, but let's fast forward straight to the goal that we actually scored. And as Amanda said, we missed Odegaard, and that pass to set in Martinelli showed it, didn't it?
Yeah, we've just missed that really simple ball over to the left-hand side of the pitch. And it was a really good goal from Martinelli. And I have to give him props for actually taking on the shot, because I think it could have been very easy for him to cut that across goal and nothing could have come of it. And I think for him to be in the form that he's currently in and just think, I'm just going to have it go and see what comes of it, I think takes a lot of courage. And I was really happy for him to score. You could see the relief on his face when he did get the goal. And he's been frustrating this season, but he is capable of moments like that. And I just hope that he's really able to kick on from here. And to that point, to be 1-0 up, I mean, and we were playing well at that point as well, I thought. We were having a lot of the ball. You just think at that point, right, shut up shop, do what we do best. But we didn't, which is the frustrating thing.
No, we didn't. I'm going to hit you, Amanda, with a few stats. And then I think that should probably, let's talk. So I think you said we played well, we probably deserved to win the game. So Chelsea had 17 shots to our 13. Away from home, that's not bad. They only had 3 shots on target to our 3. We had more possession than them. I think at times, as James was saying, we were controlling the ball quite well. And I remember, James, it was probably pre-Bournemouth, famous last words and hindsight captain and all of that sort of stuff. But I remember you saying on a pod earlier on in the season that when we go away from home, you feel a lot more comfortable. I went to the bathroom in the second half when we were 1-0 up. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not as stressed because I feel like we're controlling this game. It was a fantastic finish from Pedro Neto. Like, I know, Amanda, you can talk. I'll let you talk about. You can talk about some of the stats if you want. I'll let you talk about the goal that they scored as well. But it was a brilliant finish, 25 yards out. Perhaps there's a question over the the closing down. And maybe you can talk about that, Amanda, and then James, if you want any final say before we move on. But yeah, so we had better possession. We had more passes than this Chelsea team. Shots were about the same. We only had 3 on shots on target. I think it's interesting, and maybe we'll get to this, that I don't think our set pieces are as good as people keep making out at the moment. Declan Rice's distribution has been poor. Not poor, but just not what it was back in the last season. And I don't know, maybe this is turning into a bit of a waffling monologue. So let's talk about that goal, Amanda, that Chelsea goal. So you lay the blame at not closing down Pedro Neto quickly enough, because I thought he was all right on the left-hand side, but as soon as they switched him to the right-hand side, he was getting a lot more joy.
Oh, I mean, come on. He literally took the ball, had a shot. There wasn't even an Arsenal player in sight. I think Gabriel was having a go at everybody when that happened. Someone should have closed him down. Someone should have been there. I mean, it was a good shot. I can't deny that. But I was so angry that he was allowed to shoot. No one was near him, Chris. No one was near him at all. That shouldn't be allowed. And I think going back to the set pieces, absolutely couldn't agree more. They are not very good this season. They really aren't. And I think with Declan, we're so used to absolutely perfect performances. We used to rave about him every single game last season, didn't we? There's a lot on his, there's a lot on him. And I think this broken toe or something that's going on is not right. So I'm hoping the next couple of weeks he can come back, and I don't know. I just don't feel he's playing 100%. I think maybe he's playing 80%. Our free kicks have gone back to like 3 years ago.
I don't feel like he's fit. He can't be fit because Declan Rice does not miss football matches. Players that Arteta does not sub, Saka, Odegaard, Declan Rice. They stay on all the time. And Rice came off for Merino. I want to talk about Merino because I don't know if I've suddenly got some blinkers on and I'm being a bit biased. But again, I've seen some people saying that was Merino's best game in an Arsenal shirt, but I thought he gave the ball away a few times. I didn't think he was that great. So maybe I need you guys to sort of rein me in a little bit. But we can have that chat in a minute. James, Chelsea goal. Any blame that you apportion to any Arsenal players? Was it just a collective not closing down? Or do you just, like me, in the moment, in the heat, think, hey, it's a great finish, it's accurate, he took one touch and he's levered it into the bottom corner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of both, really. Partey is the one that seems to drop really deep, and that's kind of his space where you would expect him to be. It just seemed to be for a couple of seconds our midfield totally disappeared, which is very un-Arsenal-like. So that was disappointing. On the other hand, it was a really good shot, and you've got to credit Pedro Neto for that. And you have to say, what a shame that he's in a Chelsea shirt because he's just got Arsenal player written all over him. So that's a real shame. But yeah, good goal. No real complaints about it. And on reflection, a draw is probably a fair result. Like, I'm not sitting here complaining too much about the points. Like I said at the start of the pod, I'm happy with a point in isolation, but it's just because of the context that we really need to start winning football matches that it doesn't really feel that good. So yeah, frustrating to go in with a lead and not be able to do what we are notoriously meant to be so good at doing, which is see games out. And I just feel like, I don't know about you two, but I just feel like our defence isn't quite as good as it used to be. And I'm not sure what's changed there because we've still got that same back four pretty much, the back four that went to Spurs and was so good, it was, even though he's conceded 2 at City, was really convincing up at City. I don't really know what's happened, but we seem to be shipping goals on such a frequent basis at the minute.
And maybe you've got to look at the two in front of them, the protection they haven't got at the moment. Maybe this Partey Rice situation isn't working as well as we think, because for me, I don't see the defence as the issue. Don't you remember years and years and years ago, Tony Adams had a word with Patrick Vieira and said, you need to protect us more. So maybe they need a bit more protection. That's the thought.
Well, this could be going into why we're not seeing the best of Declan Rice at the minute, because when we were raving about him week upon week upon week upon week at the start of last season, he was playing where Thomas Partey is at the minute, because Thomas Partey was injured for basically the entirety of the season, didn't come in right until the very end. So Declan Rice, even though I think he's very good in this left 8 role, maybe we're starting to see him wane a little bit in that area of the pitch. And I still think he's got a lot to offer there. I still think there will be games for it, but maybe it's true that he is an out-and-out number 6, and we need to start playing him there. And that's where, we might see the best of him. I still think against Liverpool, that's where Declan Rice had his best game this season, and that's when he was playing as an out-and-out number 6. So, like I said, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Rice, Merino, and Odegaard as our midfield 3 in the not-too-distant future. But it's really hard to drop Partey at the minute because he's playing so well.
Man's on form. Man is absolutely on form. Really, really interesting chat about. Can you bring up the Carl comment that he just made a second ago? It's a question. Amanda's gone early with the questions. Is Partey Rice too defensive? I disagree. I don't think it is, because I think Rice is a ball winning. He's a traveller with the ball at his feet, and he is an engine, and he can play. I think he can play in that left 8. And what happens is when we're out of possession, he drops alongside Partey to form that screen, so we get that defensive cover. I think maybe you two are being a little bit harsh in terms of the goals, or maybe it's more Cookie, the goals that we're conceding and how we're not as solid defensively. If you think about the goals that we've conceded, it's like wonder strike pot shots. I mean, maybe arguably today you can say, well, if you close the ball down a bit quicker from about 25 yards, he doesn't get the shot away. So I'll happily contest that. But it just feels like the types of goals that we're conceding are teams absolutely maximising their opportunities through really, really 1% sort of 5% chance goals. Like Newcastle didn't really do a lot. We were crap last weekend, but Newcastle didn't really do anything. Their one big chance was an absolutely inch perfect ball that was split in between the two centre halves that they've nodded in. Like that game last weekend just felt like a standard 0-0 drab draw, and we should own that in terms of us going forward. But Newcastle, teams are just, we're either being shot in the foot because of shit refereeing decisions, because of red cards and things like that, or we've got a ton of injuries, which we haven't had for the last two seasons, or we've got teams that are just maximizing their one or two opportunities. So maybe I'm trying to look a little bit glass half full on this Sunday evening that we're recording, but it just feels to me like, I see chances go begging for other teams when I watch other teams in the Premier League, and I just think with us sometimes we seem to be maximum punished. Right, okay, so I want to talk about Merino. Amanda, can you give me an analysis of his performance? Am I just being biased and saying I'm just not sure about him at the moment? And I don't know, that may just be because he's not fit.
I think we need to give him time. I thought he got in some really good positions today, didn't he? I thought his actual crossing of the ball was fine. It's really, really hard because he's new. He's got to fit in. It's the Havertz all over again. You've got to give him time. Some people settle very quickly, some people don't. So at the end of the day, I will reserve judgment, I think that's the word, on what I think. But I don't think he's as bad as people are making out. No, I don't have that sort of, oh my God, what have we bought? I think he's going to grow into a really, really good player. What I will say is, Carl and I were talking about this, when Jesus came on and Marino, did they come on together? That Carl was saying, what does Jesus give us? And I said, nothing anymore. And I think I'm at that stage now where I'm happy to say that, where Marino I will give a chance. Obviously, he's new. I just don't think Jesus gives us anything anymore, unfortunately. I love him. I really do. But we need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. And what I would say on a positive note, that having Odegaard back, I thought Havertz and Martinelli looked so much better. You know, we didn't play badly at Inter. We did at Newcastle and a couple of games before. But I think, although I don't like the Inter goal, it bores me senseless. I think it may have come at the right time for us. You know, get them off to Dubai. That would be fantastic if they could. And then, you know, come back and we play, I think we play Forest, don't we, at home, which they've just lost. So this is the chance for us to really, really become the Arsenal that we know and love. 3:00, Saturday in November, against Nottingham Forest. I won't say Notts Forest because I get told off. Nottingham Forest at home. So I do believe, I feel a bit more positive after seeing that. Disappointed because we needed to win. but we're in November. Yes, Liverpool 9 points clear. I think Liverpool have had a bit of an easier start. Let's see what happens coming into January, February time. The league is not over. We're not playing brilliant and we're fourth. That's all I'm going to say at the moment.
Yeah. A couple of comments, James, from Arteta. We are reacting on the Same Old Arsenal podcast. We're reacting, obviously, instantly in the moment. So if you're listening to this on any of the audio platforms the next day or anything like that, then obviously you've got a bit more context and things like that. But we're a little bit kind of fresh and raw in the moment. Arteta has said on the gap to Liverpool, there's nothing we can change today about that. Well, I'm praying after the international break that I have a team fully equipped physically. It's been an absolute nightmare for 8 weeks. He's also said on Saka and Rice, it doesn't look good. Now, I don't know whether or not that means they're a bit knackered and they just need to sit with like the ice packs in their lounges or something. But what's your kind of instant reaction to some of those comments from Arteta, James?
Well, I'm hoping on the Saka and Rice comments that he's saying that to try and keep them off international duty.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So hopefully that's the case. I mean, we see Saka go down like this all the time and he bounces back the following week. Obviously, it's been a bit different this season because he's had an injury that's kept him out for a couple of games. So I'm a little bit more concerned than I normally would be. With Rice, we know he had that toe injury as well. So definitely cause for concern, but they've got a fortnight to get themselves back fit and firing and hopefully they don't go away with England. So let's hope they're okay there. And I think he's totally right about, not focusing on Liverpool. There's nothing we can change there. All we've got to do, I think, for now, is stop talking about the title, focus on ourselves, just get a win. If we could, bounce back against Forest, get a really convincing 3-0 or even a 2-0 win, or even just a 1-0 win, but we play really, really well, I'd be fine with that. That's all this team needs, I think. And then we've got, a nice-ish run of games. We've got West Ham away. You'd hope we'd beat them. We've got United at home, Fulham away. That'll be tough. The games are coming thick and fast as well. I mean,
James, you have got Sporting away between.
Of course, yeah. You've got Champions
League. I never
like
West Ham away on a Saturday evening. Honestly, just don't like that. So we've got Forest, Sporting, West Ham. But when I saw Saka go down, I actually thought he was hurt. And Cole always goes, "Oh, you're so dramatic with Saka." And then he did that run, didn't he? Because he played on the ref, which was right to do, because then he came back and booked the player. Then Saka went on a run and then sat down in the penalty area. And I'm like, oh, my God. Honestly, you don't need it. But hopefully it is the England connection where they're not well enough to go.
Yeah, we need them. So we need Norway to not Norway to not call up Odegaard. We're reacting live. I haven't seen any stuff just to confirm that. I've just seen some stuff on social media. We need Rice sat down. We need Saka sat down. We need as many players sat down as possible. We started talking about Gabriel Jesus, James. I want to talk about that for a minute because, again, he came on. I thought he offered essentially nothing in the game, and that really worries me. There was one moment which was I think it was just before we created that last ditch chance. So it was in stoppage time, and he had the ball at his feet on the right hand side. And he almost just completely miscontrolled it, and then Chelsea countered on us. Do we have to be a bit worried about where we're at with Gabriel Jesus? Is he going to become a bit of a passenger now, or do you just think it's difficult to get into games when you've got like a few minutes to go? Because let's be honest, he came on. He's probably got 10 minutes of football to play. How much do you put on? Is he just in a funk? Like, what's your kind of view on Gabriel Jesus at the moment? Because for me personally, I want to see more. I think he's got more, but it feels like he's a very emotional kind of footballer, and his emotions don't feel like they're that great, particularly when you look at some of his faces and stuff like that when he's on the pitch at the moment. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he's been in a bit of a funk for 18 to 24 months now, really, hasn't he? Like, if we're being totally honest. He's a player that I really like. Loved him when he came in. I felt every time he came off the bench last season, he had something to offer. This season, I feel like Amanda said earlier, I just don't feel like he's offering anything, which is a real shame. I just feel like every time he gets the ball, it's head down, try and beat about 5 players, inevitably lose the ball. It just happens time and time and time again. He's just trying to do too much. And that's what's frustrating. And I'm not sure if he's just lost his way, if he's out of form, if it's a lack of game time. It's probably a culmination of everything. but I just don't really trust him necessarily starting games, particularly as a striker. And he's just not offering enough. That's the long and short of it, really. It'd be good to see him start another game at some point. I'm sure, he will. We've got games coming up after the international break where we could definitely look to give him game time, but he just needs to do more. There's no simpler way of putting it. I think he's looked better in recent weeks, but he's still a million miles away off the player that had those electric first 3-4 months at Arsenal.
Amanda, you kind of touched on the Jesus thing. You're sort of getting to the point where you're done with him, right?
Yeah, and it takes a lot for me to even criticise any of our players. He doesn't offer anything. So, as James said, he comes off the bench last season and he was like tenacious and everything. And I feel bad because I just want that back for him. He tries so hard and he does love playing for the Arsenal, but unfortunately we can't carry anyone anymore. It's desperate. We need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. But I do feel like, we'll go on to predictions for Forest, but I do think that we should make way more, and it would be nice. And I know it's very hard probably to fit him in at the moment. See Waneri come on because he's quite creative and stuff like that. And I think time's come with Jesus to not even be on the subs bench because he doesn't offer anything. So,
oh wow, that's a big statement.
Well, he doesn't offer anything, James. So when he comes on, I don't sit there and go, "Oh, Jesus is coming on, brilliant." I saw someone in the chat say, "Oh." Someone on social media said, why have we brought on Marino? But I think he offers something. I don't mind when a player offers something, but I can't see what Jesus gives us.
All right. Let's start to. I'm going to do some. We're going to talk about what's coming up now because it's Sunday night and I've got a wife who will need her roast dinner at some stage. So I must provide. But I want to put some context in here, and I don't know whether or not this is me. Just for some reason, you guys know me. I'm kind of a glass half empty Arsenal fan. Like I do it on social media, I do it on this, but we're 9 points off Liverpool, which you said, James, kind of feels like you don't normally come back from that. But I think even Arne Slot said it yesterday. He was like, "Oh, I think Arteta has even said the teams that we've played are this, this, and this." We've played Aston Villa away. We've played Tottenham away. We've played Man City away. We've played Chelsea away. Chelsea will be a top 6 team, this team, based on what I've seen this season and what I've seen of them. We've played Bournemouth away. Now, I think Bournemouth will be a top 10 team. We've played... Who else have we played? We've played Brighton at home. Brighton are a good side. Brighton beat City yesterday. And caveats... we should have smashed them. Like they got away with it. We've had a lot of tough games. Like that's 5 of the 11 that I'm talking about here. 5 of the 11 away games. Newcastle away as well. So 6 of our 11 away. Very tough games. Liverpool played us when they got their equaliser. When we basically had the most makeshift back four. We had like an 18-year-old playing at left back up against Nunez and Red Kivior. So oddly, I'm just glad we're out of this period now. And I'm now looking at this run of games, James, and thinking, I'm thinking that there are no margins forever. Between now and Christmas, there are no margins forever. But if you go on a run, 5, 6, 7 games, which we're capable of doing, I think Liverpool didn't drop points. City have already been dropping points. Last week I was saying it feels like we're out of the title race. I still feel like it's probably like a 10% chance that we win the title personally. But had we have lost tonight, it would be like a 0.5% chance in my opinion, because you can't lose 3 games. You've still got City at home. You still got to go to Anfield. We've got Tottenham home, which is always, it's going to be a tough game because it's a derby. Like there's lots of Brighton away is a tough game. I'm monologuing now, James, but I'm trying to build the scene as to we've had a really tough start. We now have a run of games in which we've got an opportunity to build some momentum. Where's your head at in terms of park it all, titles done, or there's a little bit still on the line? I've got a sneaky feeling we might sort of go on a bit of run. Sort of talk to me about your general vibes at the moment now that we're going into this international break.
So I think I saw someone put out on Twitter earlier that the majority of the away games we've had have been against sides in the top 10, which is crazy when you've played only 11 games. And I think we're probably starting to see a true reflection of where this Arsenal team is at based on those fixtures. I mean, we've had some really good games. You know, the makeshift team that went to Spurs and won. Even the draw at City was a really good result. The win at Villa, exceptional. And, you know, things have leveled out a little bit now. Granted, you know, we should have done better in some of those games. Newcastle, you were terrible. Bournemouth, we should have avoided that Saliba red card on another day. If he stays on, we might win that game. So it's frustrating, but those are very good teams that we've played away from home. And they, in my opinion, undoubtedly will take points off the teams around us. Look, Bournemouth have already done it against Man City. And Liverpool have still got to go to all of these places. 9 points feels big. But all it takes is for Liverpool to slip up once and for us to win once, and suddenly 6 points feels a lot more achievable than 9. And if we're 6 points behind Liverpool going into the new year, that feels fine. Like, I'd be okay with that. I think we'd be quite handily placed if we were ideally more than, less than 6 points behind them. But let's say we're between 4 and 6 points behind them. We've got a lot of games to play, a lot of football to play, a lot of teams away from home, a lot of teams that Liverpool have already played, fixtures they've already played where we should be winning as well. So, I mean, I'm not throwing in the towel by all means, but I think irrespective of the points difference, we just have to be a lot better because, it could be 2 points difference at the minute, but we're still not playing good enough football. Things have to improve on that front. And I'm confident with players coming back from injury, with Odegaard back in now, with our little maestro back in the team, with Calafiori coming back. I mean, even players like Kieran Tierney coming back are going to be a bit of a welcome boost at the minute. So if we can get all these guys fit and go on a bit of a run between now and the new year, and with the fixtures we've got, we can certainly do that. We're certainly capable of it. We could find ourselves in a healthy position. And let's not forget, we've got other games to look forward to as well in the Champions League. We've got a quarter-final Carabao Cup tie against Crystal Palace, which I'm really looking forward to. I think I wouldn't say we're handily placed right now, but it's certainly not the end of the world. We've just got to start winning and start playing better football. Until we do that, I think we've got to park the title talk for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely, Amanda. I'm with James here. I think you made a really, really interesting point there, James, as well. If we were battering teams, but we were just kind of on the wrong end of stuff or things have been happening, I'd almost be a bit like, it's fine. I'm not got any concerns. We haven't really battered anybody all season. And my mind is immediately cast back to, do you remember it was February, March time last year when we were battering teams, even if we were only winning by a goal or two, we were just outplaying everyone. And that's the kind of football that is still fresh in my mind. And so I'm a bit like, we need to get back to that. If we're playing that kind of football post-international break, absolutely fine. I've got no worries whatsoever. There's a little bit of more rotation that needs to happen. Go on, Amanda.
No, I was going to say, we have to wait and see on that because we need to hit our purple patch and Liverpool need to hit their bad patch and it's going to come. So let's do some predictions. Well, I'm going 3-1. I'm going to be a bit higher in the goals than I normally am. 3-1 against Forest. Chris, what's yours?
2-0. I think this is going to be one of those games where we're going to have Odegaard back. We're going to have this. We're hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not bad with Saka, and we get him back, and he just misses the internationals, and Rice misses the internationals. We get a few players just with their legs up, and I think we'll come out, but we'll come out controlled Arsenal, controlled defensively Arsenal, and my hope is that a 2-0 is what we've got.
Okay, James.
I'm going to agree with Chris here. I'm going to go 2-0. But like I said before, even if it's just 1-0, but we play really well, I'm fine. Yeah. But the performance is important for me. Like if it's really scrappy and we give up a load of chances, and we win 1-0, I'm going to feel the exact same as I do now. I want us to really go out there, create a load of chances. Sorry, Chris.
And so, just to build on that point, mate, like, do you remember the game last season against Forest? We absolutely smashed them. The game ended up 2-1, which made it look a little bit more flattering on Forest because that should have been 3-4-0. But we went 2-0 up. They got one counter-attack goal, and all of a sudden it just felt a little bit different. So it's that sort of thing. I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it, James? It's like the performance that day was like, that's not a 2-1 performance. That's what we want, whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. 3-2, whatever it is. We want a performance now because we want to be able to say, this feels like the team is now knitting together and they're going to go on a run.
We do, but where I slightly disagree is what I said today. I'll take a one that we haven't won for so long that I think any win against Forest, I really don't care if it's a crap game. Just get one win under our belt and then we can build on that. Right, let's do some questions. Carl Stark.
Yes, let's wrap up with a few questions.
Was that a point gained or 2 points lost, James?
2 points lost, sadly. When you're 1-0 up and you're a team with aspirations to win the title, you have to hold on to get those 3 points.
Agree.
Chris?
Yep, agree.
Yeah, I do. This is an interesting question from John Rowe. By the way, there's nearly 1,000 people watching this, so hello to everybody. What would really like if you could subscribe to our channel on YouTube and press the bell so you don't miss any of our shows, because we do often go live straight away, which is never that helpful when you're drawn or lost. John Rowe, will the effect of losing Edu make any difference to any purchases in January? Chris. So this is interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Edu announced and Arsenal announced this week that he's off probably to Forest, to that side of the owner's got a few clubs, hasn't he, or whatever. I was really disappointed because I love Edu at our club. But do you think it's going to make any difference? And who do you think's going to possibly come in?
I don't think it's going to make any difference for January because I think the clubs, we are only about 8 weeks away from January. The plans have already been put in place. He'll be whacked onto, as the club have said, gardening leave. So the plans are already in place. Perhaps there's the personal connection with certain potential players that might have an impact on that. But personally, I don't think it's going to have an impact on January. There's a question over whether or not it has an impact on long-term structure. But I guess the upside from it is that Arsenal have time to start looking for somebody with a view to that person comes in for the summer next season. The other thing I'd say, and again, I'm not just trying to sugarcoat the fact or trying to be defensive sort of football Arsenal fan, but Edu still had some questions. He was a lovely guy. He's an invincible. We all love him. But he still had some questions around the sales and stuff. Like, we did all right this summer, but we've had 5 years of Edu and it hasn't always been plain sailing. James?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think Edu culturally is a really good fit. And whenever he spoke, I always felt very convinced. So I can see why he was so good at the negotiating table in terms of trying to get players to join the club. He genuinely came across as a guy that had a real burning passion for the club and wanted the best. And he seems to be really aligned with Arteta and all the staff. So I think it's a significant loss, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. Because I do think there are better sporting directors out there. Edu came in not as a sporting director. He came in from a role in Brazil. He learned on the job. If we could get someone that's kind of already in that capacity, I think it would be a bit of an upgrade, to be honest with you. Like I say, I'm disappointed he's going, but I do think there's areas for improvement in that role. And, the name that's been spoken about a little bit at the moment is Thomas Rositzky, who's obviously the sporting director at Sparta Prague. He's doing really good things over there. I'd welcome him with open arms, but I don't really know a lot about his credentials, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know who is best for this role because, I can talk about the football. I can't really talk about the negotiation table side of things all that much. But I don't think it's a loss that should impact Arsenal too much. I don't think we should be as worried about it as some people are making out.
Okay. Message from comment from Carl Stark. Do we need a goal scoring striker in January window? How about we go big on Gyökeres? Probably said that wrong. Gyökeres. There we go, Gyökeres. James.
It's easy to say we need more goals in a minute, but this is an Arsenal team that scored 90 last season in the Premier League. We've got players that are capable of scoring goals. I think it's just been the chance creation that's been the problem. I think if you throw Gyökeres, Isak, Haaland, whoever into this Arsenal team in the minute, it's not going to make too much of a difference. Watching Gyökeres against City in the Champions League, I just really like the way he bullied himself past players, kind of created chances for himself. I would absolutely welcome him with open arms if he came. He looks like a fantastic player, but I think we need to look internally first at what we can be doing better with the personnel we've got, because I mean, it wasn't long ago that Havertz was banging them in for fun. You know, Trossard was getting amongst the goals as well. Saka was scoring pretty much every week. We've got a lot of players capable of scoring a lot of goals, and I think we need to be getting more out of them first before just assuming we need to go into the market and drop 100 million on a striker.
Yeah, I think there's an element of the tactical side in here, because Martinelli scored tonight, very nice goal, but I do think we isolate Martinelli too much, and there's things that we can do in the team that can release Martinelli, like i.e. providing some more support. So if you think about the amount of times that either Ben White overlaps on Saka or Odegaard is closely connected, Martinelli doesn't ask that. Martinelli gets tasked with just stay on the far left-hand side and basically beat your man and win your one-to-one battles. If we can be a little bit more fluid and get more players around Martinelli, like Timber overlapping or even underlapping, if we're going to do that, like I think, or Marino or Havertz or whoever plays that left eight, like maybe that can give Martinelli a bit more space. In terms of the Gökçe stuff, 100 million euros release clause, 83 million pounds. Apparently, they'd be willing to accept 70 million pounds. That's a lot of cash for a player that has played at Coventry. Great, and let's not be too hasty here, because the Portuguese Super League is not the Premier League, and that's a lot of money to spend. Mikhail Mudryk absolutely bossed the Ukrainian league. He can't get into the Chelsea team. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. One more and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. John Rowe, is our defence weaker from last season? Sorry, let me put it up. That would help. John Rowe, is our defence weaker from last season because of Timber playing at left back? You were speaking about the defence, James. You think it might be something going on there? Do you think it's weaker because of Timber?
Not because of Timber. I'm not too sure I think it doesn't help that we've kind of had makeshift defences at times this season, which is contributing to the goals we're conceding. I mean, Chris, you made a really good point earlier that Liverpool's equaliser came when we had a patched up back four, you know, Kivior, Ben White, Lewis Skelly in there. I mean, we're never going to see a defence like that again this season, or you certainly hope we won't. So I think that's definitely played a part in the defence not looking as good as it should do. But I don't attribute that to Timber playing at left back. I think Timber is much better at right back. And I think his best performance this season came against PSG. And albeit he was only on the pitch for 45 minutes, but he was superb, like absolutely unbelievable in those 45 minutes. But he looks kind of good every time and anywhere he plays. Like I really like Jurrien Timber. I don't think he's a hindrance to our defence, whether he plays on the left or the right. The only thing I would say is that he's not going to overlap Martinelli on the left-hand side. You know, he's always looking to invert. He's always looking to pass to the right-hand side of the pitch. He made a fantastic run in the game today where he kind of just ran through the entire Chelsea team and got a shot off. I mean, that just sums up the sort of player he is. But for me, I would prefer to see him play more football as a right back as opposed to a left back.
That's it for the questions, boys. And thanks to everyone that's joined us, nearly 1,000 of you. It's a little bit disappointing, isn't it, boys? We'd like to have got the 3 points, got off to a good start, try and win a game. But we didn't lose at the bridge, so that's quite good.
No, exactly.
Take it and run.
I think you've just got to you've just got to take it at this stage. So lick our wounds. Let's see if we get some players back after the international window. James, any kind of final thoughts, and then you can see us off by playing the music.
Playing the music. I certainly can do that. Final thoughts. I like I said before, I think the international break's coming at a good time. I'm quite relieved to have a couple of weeks without Arsenal, as much as it pains me to say that, but it's been tough viewing. You know, ever since the game against Bournemouth, it's not felt great. Even the win against Shakhtar in the Champions League was a miserable performance. I just hope that we regroup after the international break. We've got Odegaard back. You know, hopefully it's nothing significant with Saka and Rice. Get Calafiori back, get the other guys back. Hopefully get, you know, someone like Tomiyasu back who can be a real asset. And let's just start winning football matches. Let's put a run together and get ourselves back where we need to be. But yeah, that's the most important thing. Park the title talk and let's get winning against Forest. Anything else to say, guys? Or are we going to wrap it up there?
No, we're just going to say always Arsenal, and good night, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday evening. Take it away.
And that.